Part 96. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 974. In Shenzhou, at the top of an inaccessible mountain peak, a meteor with a long trail fell from the sky and suddenly exploded hundreds of meters away from the mountain. Angel Leng slowly descended from the spreading flames to Takeo, who was waiting on a platform at the top of the mountain. Takeo, it seems there is nothing to talk about between us. I was just entrusted by the teacher to ensure that China will not be harassed by some civilizations. Angel Leng was not interested in Takeo, and he had no respect for the leader of the Dino remnants. No matter how much Takeo repented, he could not change that it was the high-level Neo Star leaders headed by him that led to the destruction of the Dino civilization. Your Excellency Angel Leng, what you said is too outrageous. China is your teacher's territory. As a Dino person who has settled here, I have also been branded as your teacher. I, including the Dino survivors here, spare no effort to develop China in order to fulfill the agreement with Teacher Qi. Hearing this, Angel Leng's expression softened slightly. For her, there was nothing special about China except that it was her teacher's territory. Therefore, Leng has no special feelings for China, just like other planets protected by angels. To be honest, I hate beating around the bush. The angel saw coldly that Takeo had been refusing to talk about business, and impatiently interrupted his next words. Okay, I'm not going to be too pretentious. I need to talk to your angel civilization about something more formal. Takeo put away the smile on his face and his expression became serious. After staring at Takeo for a few seconds, the angel nodded coldly, said yes, and said aloud. If there is nothing special involved, I can talk to you on behalf of Merlot Heavenly Court. Angel Leng agreed casually. As a third-generation god with high-end combat power in Merlot Heaven, Angel Leng's status was only lower than that of the holy left-wing Angel Yan. Moreover, affairs on this side of the Milky Way have long been within her jurisdiction, and negotiating with the Chinese civilization on behalf of the Merlot Heavenly Court is not considered an overstep. China, Juxia City, in a conference hall, a square table is placed in the middle of the room, with 5 seats on each side. At this moment, on the seat representing the angel side, Angel Leng was sitting on the chair in the middle. On the left and right sides were angel warriors wearing helmets and pulling down their visors. After all, he was here for negotiation, so it was not good to come alone, so Angel Leng specially invited 2 subordinates with whom he had a good relationship to accompany him. The 5 seats representing China on the other side were all occupied. Takeo sat in the middle as the negotiator. On the left was an old man with a faint silvery hair on his temples, and on the right was a young man with a serious face. On the 2 sides outside were a young woman with long burgundy hair and a middle-aged general wearing a Chinese military uniform. These were all the people attending the meeting. The 2 parties did not exchange pleasantries and went directly to the topic of negotiation, with Takeo taking the lead in provoking the topic. Your Excellency Angel Leng, because the situation in the known universe has been deteriorating recently, and wars have occurred in various galaxies, as an angel ally, China needs to establish a super warrior force to ensure the security of the universe around us. But after all, China is still a pre-nuclear civilization and lacks the resources to cultivate super soldiers, so we want to have some cooperation with the angel civilization. Takeo looked at Angel Leng and waited for her answer. Yes, our angel civilization, as the defenders of justice, will not refuse cooperation requests from allies. But please also provide some specific details of cooperation. Angel Leng replied in a formulaic manner. He did not mean to belittle the Chinese civilization in his words, as if the 2 sides were at the same level of civilization. But everyone who can sit in this conference hall knows exactly what kind of behemoth the angel civilization is, but fortunately they are not enemies. We need the energy support of angels to activate China's dormant supergenes and provide some initial resource support. Takeo said what he wanted and had no intention of hiding it, because China was inherently transparent to the angelic civilization. Then what are you going to do in return for the angels' help to you? After all, the angels and China are only allies. You are not our affiliated civilization, and the angels will not give you free support. Angel Leng leaned back slightly on the back of the seat, staring at Tukeo intently, intending to see how the other party would answer. Currently, the only resource produced by our country is dark alloy, which can be returned to the angel civilization. However, our output is limited and it may take some time. After Tukeo finished speaking, he stopped and waited for Angel Leng's response. Although dark alloy is good, it is not very useful to us angels. Hearing this, Tukeo's expression remained normal, but the old man beside him who had been listening quietly clenched his hands on the lower side of the table, because Angel Leng's words meant that this cooperation negotiation was likely to fail. But the next moment Angel Leng's words changed. There are many potential beings among your dormant super genes in China. We angels can provide China with the resources and needs for the early growth of super warriors, but there is a condition. Angel Leng raised a finger, and Tukeo immediately asked. What conditions? China must be on the same front as the angel civilization, and your super soldiers need to fight for the angels when necessary. Angel Leng said. Tukeo was slightly silent, and then looked at each other with the old man beside him. This distinguished Miss Angel, let me introduce myself first. I am a spectator of this cooperation negotiation and a military representative of China. Listening to what you just said, we in China must join your camp as if we have accepted your help. Can we understand it this way? Angel Leng focused on the old man and nodded slightly when he heard the words. That's pretty much what I mean. I believe you also know that you are dispensable to our angel civilization. We help you because you can help us maintain the just order of the known universe in the future. In your words, there is no free lunch in the world, and all gifts have already been marked with a price in secret. We angels don't like to do things that hide our heads and show our bottom. Therefore, before reaching cooperation, both of us must reach a consensus in this regard, otherwise nothing will be possible. After saying this, Angel Leng finally added. Furthermore, China is the territory of our angelic civilization, Sky Sword King. This matter is not a secret in the known universe. If King Tianjian hadn't given China a platform more than 1,000 years ago, China would have already become a colony of the Liang civilization. In other words, you have no choice at all. In the eyes of other civilizations, you have long been a member of the righteous order. After Angel Leng finished speaking, he stopped talking. Angel Leng and Tukeo had reached a consensus before the negotiation started. All that was left was for the ruling class of China to agree to this cooperation according to their ideas. In fact, if it weren't for his teacher, Angel Leng wouldn't have gone through so much trouble. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 975. Angel Leng was not good at negotiating, but Binghua once told her that other conditions did not matter, but China must be on the same front as angel civilization. Because China has two major god-making projects and a series of super warrior genetic templates, it will become a force that cannot be ignored when it grows up. Therefore, after Angel Leng expressed his thoughts, he directly had a showdown with China's ruling class. Only when both parties reached a consensus and cooperation could continue. After the representative from China communicated with Tukeo for a while and reported the news in the communication, shortly after the ruling class of China voted at a meeting, they finally decided to agree to a united front with the angels. The reason why it was so fast was that before the meeting began, Tukeo reported some of the current situation in the known universe. He also focused on describing the preferential treatment given by angels to their allies, which weakened the power of Styx. Although it was a bit unreasonable, Tukeo knew that even if China's ruling class opposed contact with angels, it would not be able to change the interference of angels in China's god-making project. After reaching a consensus, the remaining negotiations were very easy. Angel Leng was very generous with the resources to assist China, and he could provide assistance until China's super warrior force was formed. Of course, Angel did not choose to assist China for free. China needed to provide dark iron raw materials to the Angel civilization to offset the various precious resources and technical support provided by Angel. As for other countries on China, they were magnificently ignored by the Angel civilization, because the Angels only established contact with China and have always regarded China as the leading civilization of the planet. After the negotiation, Tukeo prepared to send Angel Leng away and expressed his gratitude to him in the passage. "You don't need to thank me. When your galaxy power and Noxing god of war grow up, the world of justice order will have 2 more top war gods. This is a very cost-effective investment. Don't worry, we will always stand with the angels and will never betray them." Tukeo promised, and Angel Leng nodded slightly when he saw this. "Just send it here. I need to report your situation to the teacher. I hope you can establish China's super warrior army as soon as possible." After the angel's cold words fell, he unfolded his angel wings and led the 2 soldiers under his command to fly out from the floor-to-ceiling window opened at the end of the passage, disappearing into the sky in the blink of an eye. Tukeo watched Angel Leng and his group of angels leave and then turned around and returned to the conference room. There was still an important meeting to be held next. "Chief Du, we have now reached cooperation with the Angel civilization and have participated in the battle between the Angels and Styx. We may be attacked by the civilization under Styx at any time. Therefore, we need to establish a super soldier force as soon as possible that can deal with the threat of future interstellar wars. I wonder if you have any ideas." The old man who was the representative of China before took a sip of tea and said in a deep voice, "I have already made a plan for this. Here is the plan. Please take a look at it." Tukeo took the plan from the young man beside him and handed it to the old man and the middle-aged soldier beside him. The top of the plan marked the formation plan of the Xiangbing Company, which aroused some interest in the old man and middle-aged soldiers. A few minutes passed, and the old man put down the plan and considered his words before speaking. "Chief Du, I have read your plan, but it is not too hasty. In particular, recruiting members from all walks of life is full of instability. They will have the ability to change a war in the future. If there is insufficient ideological consciousness, it will lead to serious consequences." At this time, the middle-aged soldier also interjected. "Why not recruit members from the army? According to your plan, the Xiangbing Company still needs to go to school, and military training is only auxiliary. Please forgive me for disagreeing with this. How can such soldiers fight well if they don't temper their will and let them know the importance of discipline?" Tukeo already had a plan in mind, and after hearing the questions raised by the 2, he replied, "I am also aware of the problems you are talking about, but most of the carriers of super genes today are farmers, students, workers, police officers, and idle members of society. It's not that they don't exist in the army, but they are too rare. This is why I plan to train them in the academy system. After all, they have never experienced combat and military training, and they must be given a certain amount of time to accept the change in their identity. As for the military training you mentioned, they will be super soldiers or even gods in the future. What they need to fully unleash their power is not exercise, but knowledge." Tukeo pointed to his head as he spoke, and continued. "A super soldier with a rich reserve of knowledge, a god, can exert very powerful power and can easily annihilate an organized army. If the angelic civilization had not provided us with resource support, we alone would not have been able to support the growth of a god." After hearing Tukeo's words, the middle-aged soldier wanted to say something else, but was interrupted by the old man. "Then just follow your plan to form a heroic company, Chief Du. After all, you are the expert in this area. But I hope that our efforts will be rewarded, rather than giving rise to an enemy we cannot afford to offend." Tukeo saluted upon hearing this, promised to complete the mission. The top-secret plan codenamed Wei Xiangbing Company passed the review, and the military government immediately began to raise funds, plan projects, and start building a semi-military and semi-academic base called Super Seminary in the mountainous area outside Juxia City. At the same time that the Xiangbing Company plan was started, large-scale hidden aerospace airports also began to be constructed in some relatively hidden mountains. At the same time, large-scale aerospace battleships established by the Dino survivors based on China's industrial level were also built. When China was making such a huge move, other countries on Blue Star also caught wind of it. Therefore, countries with the ability have begun to allocate resources to space development to prevent China from becoming the dominant player in this field. At the same time, in the Shenhe Tiandao Galaxy, Liang Star, and Yungziao Tianting training ground, the horizontal knife in Dilena's hand was wrapped in a blazing energy glow and slashed down suddenly. With a bang, a circle of blazing energy fluctuations spread out and were absorbed by the devices around the training ground to prevent damage to the training ground. Pan Zhen felt some pressure while holding Dilena's weapon. This was the suppression of the divine body and the absolute crushing of the super gene's energy output. But fortunately, both he and Dilena restrained their strength, otherwise they would have destroyed the training ground in a few blows. Pan Zhen pushed away the horizontal knife in Dilena's hand and quickly took a few steps back to distance himself and stop the training. Rena, that's enough. You have been able to control your energy output to a certain extent. This kind of training is of little use to you anymore. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 976. Dilena immediately relaxed after hearing this, threw away the weapons and shields in her hands, and stretched. It's finally over. I can rest for a while. This is what you said yourself. As long as I pass the training, you will give me a period of leave. Seeing Dilena's expectant look, Pan Zhen shook his head helplessly. I will never break my promise, but as the Queen of the Sun, you need to pay attention to your identity, otherwise you will be in bad shape. Hearing this, Reina happily turned around and walked quickly toward the exit of the training ground. When she was at the door, she turned back and made a face. Only an old antique like you would care about this. After saying that, Reina disappeared behind the door. Pan Zhen suddenly felt a sense of frustration in his heart when he saw this. Over the years, he had obviously been very serious about educating Reina and correcting her irresponsible temperament, but the result was a failure. Instead of being corrected, Reina's out-of-touch temper became more serious. Because of her own power, she was full of curiosity about everything without a trace of awe, which was not good. The only thing that made Pan Zhen happy was that Lena had been able to control her energy output for hundreds of years, and she looked like a god. On the other hand, Lai Yang's technology has taken a big step forward because of his reverse invincible body, divine body, and super warrior. Even the production of god-killing weapons has made breakthroughs. Master Liang has been able to mass-produce high-level god-killing weapons. The Hengdao and Liang shield in Reina's hands are one of Master Liang's most proud works. Despite the simple appearance of the Hengdao, it is actually an advanced god-killing weapon. In addition to the god-killing weapon's necessary ability to destroy supergenes, it can also use the internal weapon engine to assist Reina in flare bombing and other drives. Calculation of formulas. In addition, its own special material is enough to withstand Reina's fusion energy running inside it, exerting devastating destructive power. The same is true for the Sun Shield. Although its structure is not as complex as the Hengdao, it is equipped with a special defensive stance and has its own energy reserve. Reina can also provide external energy to enhance the defense. Its defensive capabilities can easily withstand the main gun attacks of large battleships, and even Yongxiao Tianting cannot destroy it without using a Star Destroyer level strike. Of course, this is a power that can only be exerted in Rena's hands. Ordinary beings cannot resist the washout of the energy aftermath and the high heat in the core area of the explosion. After Lena left, Pan Zhen returned to his regent's palace. Although Lena had been crowned Queen of Liang, Pan Zhen was still handling the actual government affairs of Liang. It's not that Pan Zhen didn't want to let Reina handle it at first, but with her temperament, she couldn't sit still, and she became impatient in less than half a day. In the end, Pan Zhen could only let it go, because it was not important to Queen Liang whether she could handle government affairs. Her mere existence represented Liang. General, according to reports from the observation point we established in the Chaiwa star system, Angels recently transported a batch of resources to China. A Liang army soldier walked into the main hall to report. Pan Zhen paused while reading the memorial, and then said nonchalantly, "Let them continue to observe and report any latest news in a timely manner." After the reporting Liang warriors left, Pan Zhen closed the memorial in his hand that recorded the information about each planet in the Liang heavenly path, and frowned. To be honest, he really didn't want to see Shenzhou and Angel get mixed up, because there were a group of enemies in Shenzhou who were their Liang enemies. If the Dino remnants grow stronger with the help of Angels, it will have a great impact on Liang's security in the future. However, Liang currently does not have the energy to intervene in the affairs of the Chaiwa star system. In the new Death Song Academy, as Huaye walked out of the wormhole suddenly closed and disappeared without a trace. This made Huaye's heart tighten, but he remained calm on the outside. I didn't expect that in just 10 minutes, I would be able to travel from the edge of the known universe to the Styx galaxy. This universe is becoming more and more unfamiliar to me. After observing the surrounding environment, Huaye said slowly, "I feel honored that King Huaye is willing to visit my little Death Song Academy." Carl stood not far away and raised his arms to greet him in a neither humble nor condescending tone, and then put his hands behind his back again. "Don't talk nonsense, Carl. You know the purpose of my visit very well. I need the power to crush those titans. Otherwise, your so-called plan is just a fantasy. I will not go to Merlot Heavenly Court to cause trouble until I have complete control over it." Huaye didn't have a good impression of Carl, a guy who was hiding behind the scenes and stirring up trouble. The reason why the two parties were in contact was purely for mutual use, so there was no respect for each other. "King Huaye, don't be impatient. I invite you as a guest this time just to solve your troubles. The known universe is tired of Kesha's rule and the righteous order she established, and is in urgent need of a powerful king to lead them to destroy the so-called justice." Carl didn't care about Huaye's attitude. He walked to his desk and sat down. "I knew that Kesha's set of things would collapse sooner or later. The law of the jungle has always been followed in the universe. She insists on making those of us who eat meat into vegetarians. Isn't this deliberately making herself uncomfortable?" Huaye laughed happily when he heard the news, opened his arms and said, not caring about Kesha's justice order, "I don't care about it. Whether it's justice and order or the law of the jungle, I can accept it as long as it doesn't affect my research." Carl did not comment on Huaye's words. He opened the books on his desk and a projection appeared in the void. "What is this? Explain it to me in a way that I can understand." Huaye observed the complex disc-shaped graphic structure in the projection for a while and found that he couldn't understand it at all. Then he asked Carl and specially added the last sentence. Carl sighed slightly when he heard this. Although he knew that Huaye knew nothing about technology and didn't even have the patience to listen to his own explanation, it really disappointed him. "This is the third-generation Void engine. I filled it with commonly used energy drive formulas and time and space algorithms." Huaye became interested after hearing this. He was very enthusiastic about the Void engine. After all, he had the Void weapon provided by Carl in his hand, which was extremely easy to use. Can this thing be installed for me? Of course, I have a lot of requirements. He must be strong enough and powerful enough, otherwise he will not be worthy of my status. After hearing this, Carl cancelled the projection and said with a smile. Of course, I have prepared a customized model for you, which is countless times more powerful than the mass-produced third-generation Void engine. Fully automatic operation, no need to understand the algorithm formula. I also added the black hole data calculated by the big clock as a trump card. When necessary, you can use it to release a miniature mimetic black hole that destroys everything around it. Hearing this, Huaye's eyes suddenly lit up. He gave a clap and said, "If you like what you hear, then install it on me quickly. I can't wait to experience the customized Void engine you mentioned." Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 977. Teacher, Angel Civilization has officially started cooperation with China, and the other party has also agreed to stand with our Angel Civilization. Angel Leng contacted Binghua through the equipment he had obtained in the Justice World and began to report on the affairs of China. That's enough. When the new generation of Galaxy Power and Nyoxing God of War grow up, China will be a force that cannot be ignored. Even that guy Carl would have a headache. After reporting the news about China, Angel Leng asked some more questions and hung up the communication. Binghua also opened his eyes again, rubbed his chin, and began to think about whether he should intervene in the struggle between the angels of the known universe and Styx. Today's world of justice has no real enemies. The huge defense force has been reduced. There are only elite legions and super legions. The demigod legion is still in service and maintains a normal size. Moreover, Binghua has begun to implement universal super warrior enhancement in each world, preparing to improve the quality of the righteous world as a whole. As for the remaining chaos virus, it is being surrounded and suppressed by the Purification Fleet and Expedition Fleet controlled by Samilo, and it can no longer make any waves. It can be said that the world of justice has no enemies. Its footprints have spread all over the chaotic star sea, and it has encountered many civilizations that survived the erosion of chaos. Most of them have established good connections with the world of justice, and some worlds intend to explore other star skies around the chaos star sea. In fact, another reason for Binghua's hesitation is the name under which the justice world intervenes in the known universe, and once it intervenes in the known universe, the justice world and the Merlot heavenly court may conflict. After all, both parties have their own ideas and pursuits. It doesn't matter if they are far apart, but if they are close to each other, there is no guarantee that friction will not occur below. In the end, Binghua chose to believe that Kesha could solve the problem and gave up the idea of letting the righteous world intervene in the known universe. After all, the distance between the two sides is too far, and even the warp gate with ascendant technology is not convenient for large-scale troop mobilization. In the new Death Song Academy, Huaye was getting familiar with his Void engine. He felt that something was different about him, but he couldn't pinpoint the specific differences. But the only thing he can be sure of is that he is extremely powerful now and can easily kill his previous self. After feeling it for a while, Huaye thought and a disc-shaped operating platform appeared in front of him. The operating platform automatically started to operate according to his thoughts. The next moment, dark energy emerged around Huaye. In an instant, everything in the room began to tremble slightly, and an invisible pulling force began to affect the surroundings. King Huaye, if you want to experience the special features of the black hole engine, please go outside. Carl frowned slightly, a little displeased with Huaye's unbridled behavior. He waved his hand and covered the room with a wave of energy, counteracting the pulling force emitted by Huaye. Huaye also gave it up and stopped running the black hole engine. He was in a good mood. I have to say that this engine of yours, Carl, is really easy to use. I can't wait to find the Titans to test how powerful it is. Carl has no intention of criticizing Huaye's expansion, and in fact, Huaye, who is equipped with a special third-generation void engine, also known as a black hole engine, is already technologically different from most civilizations in the known universe. The Titans, whose technological level is even lower, are even more dimensionally reduced. It is a foregone conclusion that Huaye will defeat the opponent. The next step is how to destroy Kesha and plunge the known universe into chaos, leaving the angels with no time to care. After Huaye left, Carl called up the star map of the known universe and kept looking for it. He called up some information from time to time. After an unknown amount of time, Carl stopped. He has found a suitable place, but he still needs the cooperation of some beings to complete his plan. On the planet Ixera, on the desert, a handsome male angel with dark wings suddenly fell from the sky and fell to the ground. He dragged his somewhat weak body into the shadow of a huge boulder. His slightly trembling fingers scratched the air a few times, and his body began to gradually integrate with the surrounding environment. Several small aircraft in the sky quickly passed through the airspace and disappeared into the distance, but after a few minutes, the small aircraft turned back. "Sir, we have lost track of the fallen angels. Continue to search." He was hit by a god-killing armor-piercing bullet and couldn't escape far. "Understood, sir." The aircraft pilot complained somewhat and said to the fire controller sitting behind him, "I really don't know what the people above are thinking, leaving the Angel Nebula and going to such a remote place to hunt a fallen angel. Brother, please stop complaining. We are an affiliated civilization of the angels. Since Queen Kessa has given the order to eliminate these unstable factors in the order of justice, we must comply with it." The fire controller didn't care about this, since serving there was all about service. "Rather than fighting these humanoid fighters, I would rather fight interstellar pirates. At least I can blow up their spaceships with a few shots instead of tickling the fallen angels." The pilot continued to mutter, which prompted teasing from the fire controller. "Don't complain, after all, they have the blood of angels. If they were too weak, that would be really weird. Our mission this time is to hunt down this fallen angel who bloody rules this planet. As long as we deal with him, we can take a vacation for a while. Stop complaining, brother, keep an eye on the surroundings for me. I always feel a little uncomfortable. Be practical." As the fire controller spoke, he looked around suspiciously through the aircraft's scanning system. The fallen angel below, hiding in the shadow of the boulder to block his own reflected signals, quietly grasped his weapon, a simple alloy sword. He didn't pay much attention to the Kebrian annihilator that had been hovering above his head. What he was afraid of was the subsequent trouble caused by destroying it. The Kebrians are one of the affiliated civilizations of the angels. They are a civilization that is infinitely close to the God-making civilization. They are the most loyal thugs of the angel civilization. They have always been responsible for solving the troubles from the aerospace-level civilization for the angels. Kame didn't know how he provoked them, but these guys suddenly came to his planet and launched a crazy pursuit of him. The people who were originally loyal to him on the planet of Ixera saw that the Kebrians were causing trouble for him, so they immediately rebelled and stabbed him, the former ruler of Ixera. Not long ago, the last group of his loyal men were killed by the artillery bombardment of the Kybri people. Even he himself was shot through the body by a sniper among the Kybri people with a god-killing armor-piercing projectile, and suffered considerable trauma. If his whereabouts were discovered by the Kebrai mothership, Kamen felt that he would never be able to escape the other party's pursuit. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 978. 10 minutes later, the Kebrai annihilator wandering in the sky finally left without detecting anything unusual, and Kamen's tense mind relaxed. After removing the camouflage algorithm on his body and only maintaining the algorithm that shielded his own reflected signals, Kamen dragged his weapon and walked along this desolate next door. The most important thing for him now is to find a safe place to deal with his injuries and find an energy source that can repair his injuries. As long as there is sufficient energy, Kaming, who has mastered the ability to use certain sacred languages, can quickly repair physical damage, restore combat strength, and wait for an opportunity to escape from the planet Ixera. A few days later, Kamen arrived at the border of a city and took advantage of the darkness to find an inaccessible area and sneak in. He modified the data of all the surveillance equipment along the way so that no one could detect him. After finding the city's energy supply station, Kamen used his brute force to open the safety door of a ration room at the energy supply station, walked in, called up the simple energy conversion formula he had written, and then reached out and held the ration directly. Energy transmission cables in the room. The next moment, the surging energy passed through his hands and was transformed into his body. The super gene at the ferocious wound on the chest and abdomen that was penetrated by the god-killing armor-piercing bullet began to eliminate the special energy in the wound with the supply of abundant energy. After the destructive energy left by the god-killing armor-piercing bullet was eliminated, the super gene quickly decomposed and began to repair Kaming's wounds. This process was very fast. Although Kamen was a little disgusted by the fallen angel gene in his body, he had to admit that it was its existence that made him stand out among all the people in Ixera and become its ruler. When he thought of this, Kaming felt angry in his heart. If it weren't for those nosy Kebri people, why would he be like this? All the men and servants who were once respectful to him betrayed him. In the end, Kamen found that his own strength was the most worthy of trust, otherwise he would have died in the siege of the Kebrai people. At this moment, there was a loud noise outside the rationing room. Kaming's expression moved and he came to the door in the blink of an eye, looking out through the deformed safety door. The team leader is here. The energy transmission data in this distribution room is abnormal. 80% of the energy is lost. The line is likely to be damaged and needs to be repaired. A man in work clothes led two companions over. He saw the deformed safety door at a glance and stopped immediately. The same goes for the others who followed him. One of the team leaders felt that something was wrong and pressed the communication button to call the guards to come over and take a look at the situation. But before he could speak, a pitch-black sword tip came out from his back, and blood suddenly poured out of his mouth. Finally, he fell to the ground without saying anything. The two remaining staff members at the scene were so frightened that they didn't realize it until now and turned around to run away. But before they could take 2 steps, their heads flew up and blood spurted out. Kaming didn't feel any discomfort. He shook off the blood stains on his weapon. The dark wings behind him spread out, and the dark night made his figure look like a demon. The next second, Kaming's body flew directly into the sky, ready to leave here immediately. But before he could fly very far, a blue beam of light struck from a very far distance. If Kaming didn't slow down, he would definitely hit it head on. But for Kame, who has angel wings, it is extremely easy to avoid this direct attack. He can dodge it with a Z-shaped maneuver. But Kame's heart sank, because he was familiar with this kind of energy attack. It was the main gun of the Kebri people's annihilator. It was very powerful and would be very troublesome if it was hit. Sure enough, more than 10 seconds later, a dozen small dots appeared on the horizon, and in the blink of an eye, more than a dozen annihilators approached. Seeing this, Kame accelerated his speed and wanted to get rid of their lock, but the energy beams fired from him seriously interfered with his progress. These annihilators already have a very mature system on how to encircle and suppress the fallen angels. The core idea of this system is to limit the mobility of the fallen angels and use god-killing armor-piercing bullets to finish. However, this time they were facing Kaming, who had suffered a lot. Kaming had been flying in a diagonal line to prevent himself from being surrounded, and also tried to prevent himself from being attacked by the annihilator and restricting his flight trajectory. This lasted for more than 10 minutes, and the annihilator still failed to surround Kaming. On the contrary, it was surrounded by the opponent and the distance became farther and farther. But at this moment, two figures rushed out from the sky and swooped down quickly. One of the figures hit Kamen with lightning speed. In an instant, Kame fell freely into the ground like a bird with broken wings, plowing out a ravine several meters long. One of the two figures that swooped down from the sky hovered above the point where Kamen fell, and the lips of his face covered by the mask lightly opened and pronounced a verdict. Fallen angel Kame, you have violated the law of justice and order and carried out a bloody and cruel rule on Ixera. We have been ordered to come to arrest you. Please surrender and follow us back to the Merlot Heavenly Court to face trial. How can I be so virtuous that I can let the angel warriors arrest me personally? Or should I say that you guys are already busy looking for trouble for a small character like me? Kamen coughed a few times and stood up from the pit he had made. Although he was embarrassed, he was not seriously injured. It was just that there was a terrifying gap in his weapon that almost caused it to break. You are not a small role. Queen Keisha once said that as long as you descendants of the fallen angels don't act recklessly, you can live in peace and stability. But you rely on your bloodline of angels to use your power on mortals wantonly and treat them as slaves. This is a trampling on justice. Kaming covered his face and laughed, which made the angel warrior in the air frown slightly. Why didn't I see you come to judge those who bullied and hurt me when I was weak? Now that I have finally become strong, I have trampled under my feet the people who once bullied me, and made everyone fear me and be afraid of me, but you came here hypocritically. What kind of bullshit is this? After Kaming finished speaking, he raised his head, his handsome face full of ferocious color, the alloy sword in his hand pointed at the angel warrior in the sky, and said angrily, I won't let you go. Even if I die, I will bite off a piece of meat from you hypocritical guys. After saying these words, Kaming flapped the dark wings on his back vigorously, and his body rose up from the ground and rushed towards the angel warrior hovering in mid-air. Seeing that Kaming refused to give up resistance, the angel warrior showed no mercy. The flaming sword in his hand glowed with red energy and easily cut off the alloy sword in Kaming's hand. Immediately, a long and narrow wound glowing with fire was left on Kaming's chest. Compared with the god-killing armor-piercing bullet, the wound caused by the flaming sword was undoubtedly more deadly. Even though Kaming felt that his body had become weak, he wanted to fight back, but only half of the broken alloy sword was left in his hand. He was unwilling to die like this, but his body was carried by the opponent's direct kick and fell towards the earth again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 979. As Kaming's consciousness gradually faded, something suddenly exploded in the sky, lighting up the dark night sky a little. The angel hovering above his head seemed to have noticed something, and turned around and became alert, but then a black shadow fell from the sky, grabbed the angel warrior and smashed it into the ground not far away from him. Soon a ferocious crocodile head appeared in his field of vision. It glanced at him with faint blood-colored eyes, and there was a faint crystal between the sharp teeth in its mouth. It smells delicious, but it's a pity that I can't eat it. These were the last words Kame heard before he fainted due to the destruction of the super gene in his chest. After an unknown amount of time, Kame's stagnant genetic engine started to run again under the stimulation of external energy. The super genes in his body began to regain activity, and he gradually regained consciousness. When Kamen opened his eyes, he found himself in a very neat room with relatively retro decoration. The armor on his body had also been taken off, leaving only the thin lining still hanging on his body. After getting out of bed, he opened the door and saw a long and narrow corridor with slightly dark light. There were wall lamps hung at regular intervals on the walls on both sides. At the same time, there were framed portraits between them for decoration. Kaming did not recognize any of the characters, but he saw several portraits of angels. The reason why they were recognized as angels was because the characters in the portrait were wearing the same style of armor as the angel warrior who shot her down before. Just as Kaming was about to move forward, the space in the corridor not far ahead suddenly distorted, forming a purple space vortex, and a figure wearing a skull mask walked out of it. "Since you're awake, come with me. My God wants to see you." Snow's tone was calm. After speaking, he turned around and walked toward the other end of the passage. Kaming let out a heavy breath and stepped forward to follow him. Since the other party saved him, there must be a reason. He had nothing to hesitate. Anyway, the situation would not get worse. "My God, the person you want to see has been brought." Snow saluted, and then stood beside Carl, who was sitting behind the desk. "I'm very grateful to you for saving me from the angels. I don't know how I can repay your life-saving grace." Kaming said simply. His words were very straightforward, which made Carl feel a little surprised. "I thought angels were very proud beings, but it seems you are different from them." "I'm not an angel, I'm a fallen angel. Don't confuse me with those hypocritical beings. You want to save me even if you offend the angel civilization. I believe you must have something to ask for. Whether it's killing or destroying, it doesn't matter, as long as it's something I can do." Carl admired Kamei's attitude very much. He rarely used any rhetoric and went straight to the point. "I won't let you kill people, nor will I let you destroy anything. I just admire you fallen angels." Kaming frowned slightly when he heard this, not understanding what Carl meant. "Strictly speaking, you fallen angels are also angels, but you are the angels who followed the Apocalypse King Liangbing and left Merlot heaven, so you called yourself fallen angels in order to distinguish yourself from your former kin. However, it is obvious that the Merlot heavenly court does not regard you as one of their own kin, and you are not recognized by them. As long as you do something out of the ordinary, you will be arrested and imprisoned by the Merlot heavenly court. I believe you have a deep understanding of this." Kaming nodded and said nothing, waiting for Carl's next words. "I am the main god of the Styx galaxy. I believe you have heard of me. There is a little unpleasantness between me and the angel civilization. So I wanted to find a few more allies in the known universe. After all, sometimes it doesn't hurt to have a few friends. I think your fallen angel clan has great potential." "Then why me?" Kamen asked doubtfully. He didn't feel there was anything special about him. "There is no reason, it's just that you were lucky enough to be saved by the crocodile god under my command." Kaming didn't say anything after hearing this. He didn't care much about this. What he cared about was what he could gain. "I will give you the power to compete with the angel civilization, and all you need to do is do your best to gather the fallen angels scattered in the universe until you are qualified to become my ally." Carl stood up from his seat and came to Kaming's side and said in a deep voice, "What should I do?" "Don't worry, I will provide you with intelligence support. The rest is up to you." After speaking, Carl passed over Kaming, who was standing there, and entered the suddenly opened space rift. Snow followed closely and motioned for Kaming to follow. After a while, Carl stepped out of the space rift again, followed by Snow. "My God, you gave him such an important thing so easily. Will he betray your will?" Snow said worriedly, but Carl didn't take it seriously. "It doesn't matter, I didn't expect him to obey my orders, but as long as he doesn't obey the orders of the angels, I support him just so that he can inherit the legacy and influence of demonic civilization and continue to attract the attention of angels. And his identity is destined to make it difficult for him to be tolerated by the Merlot heavenly court, especially when he is still charged with killing angel warriors. The reason why I installed the third-generation Void engine on him is just because I don't want him to be easily eliminated by the angels. As for the remaining Void engines, I will find them suitable masters for them." Hearing this, Snow felt relieved. He now only hoped that existences such as Huaya and Kaming would not become obstacles to their Styx plan in the future. At the same time, Huaya, who had obtained the black hole engine from Karl, had returned to his heavenly palace. Satisfied, he immediately assembled the heavenly palace army and came to the planetary system where the Titans were located. The Titan God King once again dueled with Huaya, but this time with the support of the black hole engine. Huaya was no longer what he used to be. With the blessing of the black hole engine, Huaya's destructive power was extremely powerful. Under the shocked gaze of Titan God King Liukt, Huaya created a mimic black hole and almost completely swallowed the planet they were dueling on. Under the threat of such terrifying weapons, Leokild finally agreed to cooperate with the Heavenly Palace to attack Merlo Heavenly Palace together. Huaya also promised that after the completion of the matter, the Titan God's domain would be redivided to them. The reason why Huaya did not let the Titan God King Leokild surrender to him was that he saw that the Titan God's pride would not completely compromise even if the clan was annihilated, and letting the other party cooperate with him was already the best outcome. But on the other hand, as long as the Titans compromised once, they would have nowhere to go. Sooner or later, Huaya felt that he would take them under his command. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 980. After reaching an agreement with the Titans, Huaya began to plan to re-enter the Angel Nebula. The first thing he had to do was to form an army that could confront the Angel Legion head-on. The Titan ship of the Titan Protoss came into Huaya's field of vision. Its size was larger than the Sky Blade. Although its firepower was not as powerful as the Sky Blade, its defensive capabilities were up to par. Huaya began to let the affiliated civilizations under his command build Titan ships. Of course, they were modified, otherwise warriors from ordinary animal civilizations would not be able to control them. On the other hand, Huaya rarely used the wealth he had accumulated over the past 10,000 years and began to vigorously strengthen the combat power of his angels, intending to use everything he had. This made the soldiers under Huaya's command feel excited. They had never seen such a king before, but it had to be said that Huaya's desperate actions made the soldiers of the Tiangong royal court feel more confident than ever before. In the Poker Nebula, due to the conflict between the Thane Empire and the Hayden civilization and the Land Star, the situation has become extremely chaotic. Only a small area has remained calm because of its belief in the righteous order of angels. But this is just the surface. Within these civilizations that believe in justice and order, some people are already impatient and ready to join this chaos to get what they want. A group of interstellar mercenaries broke through the soldiers blocking them, smashed a closed palace door with their weapons, and entered the palace hall. "Aren't you afraid of being punished by angels if you do this?" King Kari, who was sitting on the throne in the palace hall, asked sharply. "I don't need to bother you anymore. As long as you die, someone will help us cover it all." To the outside world, he just died of a serious illness. The leader was a figure with her hair tied back in a bun and a pair of folded black wings on her back. She glanced around, then stretched out her hand to signal her soldiers to take action. Seeing this, the interstellar mercenary who followed her here showed a ferocious smile and approached the old man sitting on the throne. "Old guy, we will entertain you well." Listening to the painful screams, the female fallen angel, the leader of the interstellar mercenaries, walked to the throne with enchanting steps, turned around and sat on it, looking at the old king begging for mercy below with interest. At this moment, a group of people poured in from outside the palace hall again, and they entered the hall under the leadership of a middle-aged man wearing Chinese clothes. In an instant, dozens of guns were pointed at the female fallen angel sitting on the throne and her subordinates, and the atmosphere in the hall suddenly became tense. "What? Prince Kari, you are trying to burn the bridge across the river." The female fallen angel made no move, but the mercenaries under her command raised their weapons to confront the palace guards. King Kari, who was pushed to the ground after hearing the words of the female fallen angel, looked at Prince Carey with wide eyes in disbelief, but before he could question him, a bullet penetrated his head. Prince Carey put down the gun in his hand and said with a cold face, "Of course not, but you should go, I will handle the rest myself. As for your reward, I have put it in the same place as agreed. Those who believe in you should receive it." A smile suddenly appeared on the originally calm face of the female fallen angel. A prompt sounded from the communicator placed in the combat uniform. She took a quick look and stood up from the throne. "Then this position is yours. Put away your weapons and let's go." Watching the female fallen angel leaving with a group of her subordinates, the palace guard captain brought by Prince Carey asked in a low voice, "Are we just going to let them go like this? Otherwise, if we issue a notice to the outside world, we will say that a group of space mercenaries broke into the Kylie Palace, killed the king, blood-bathed the entire royal family, and plundered a large amount of resources. And we repelled this group of vicious mercenaries and protected the Kylie Palace." Prince Carey's plain words echoed in the ears of the palace guards, sending chills in their hearts. In a small spaceship on the outskirts of the Carey planet system, a male mercenary said angrily, "Sister, what kind of attitude does Prince Carey have? We have cleared the way for him to ascend the throne. It doesn't matter if he doesn't keep us as guests, but he still wants to attack us. We did his dirty work for him. If we weren't afraid of the strength of our mercenary group, we would have been silenced." The female fallen angel called elder sister said casually, her gaze falling on the starry sky outside the ship's window. "Sister, where should we go next?" the mercenary piloting the spaceship asked. The female fallen angel thought for a moment and said, "Let's meet up with the other team members first, and then go to Exchange Street. We need to sell the things we got and resupply along the way." Hearing this, many members in the spacecraft cheered. Trading Street is a well-known place of order in the Pocket Nebula. Some crimes and fights are prohibited there. As long as you have enough money, it will be a paradise-like existence. Sister, we just made an order within the scope of the order of justice. If we go to Exchange Street now, will we encounter any patrolling angels? The most senior member of the mercenary group worried that the reason why he was so worried was because the boss of Trading Street had a connection with the angels. As long as the angel civilization investigates these things carefully, they cannot hide them. Don't worry, that prince won't be stupid enough to report to the angel, and he himself is not clean either. And if the angels really want to find us, do you think we can escape? So let's enjoy ourselves while we're still alive." The female fallen angel chuckled and said, not caring much about the angel's investigation. Ever since she could remember, she had relied on her own struggles to survive. If she had cared about this or that, she would have died in that corner long ago. In a bar on Exchange Street, the female fallen angel found a remote corner and sat down. Her clothes were changed into more revealing casual clothes, revealing the fair and delicate skin of her arms and thighs. Watching the men and women chatting with each other and dancing in the tavern, she was like an outsider, quietly admiring the chaos while drinking the wine in her glass. No one came to chat with her because she was a regular visitor here. Many people knew that she was a rose with thorns. If she was not careful, she would be pricked and her hands would be covered with blood. Over time, no one approached her to talk to her, which also made her lose a lot of fun, but there seemed to be something different today. "Can I sit here, beautiful lady?" Before she could answer, a handsome man with a faint smile sat in the seat opposite. "Let me introduce myself, my name is Ka Ming." Feeling the strange yet familiar energy aura on Ka Ming's body, she lightly opened her lips and uttered two words. "Curtain Blade." Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 981. Muren, what a good name. Kamen praised, which made Muren frown slightly, wondering what his compatriot was planning. "If you came here just to say these things, I think you can leave." I don't like dealing with strangers. Muren unceremoniously issued an expulsion order. Fallen angels were rare in the Pocket Nebula due to the ravages of demons in the past, but they were not unheard of. But the fallen angels cannot be said to be united. Rather, they have business conflicts with each other because of their extraordinary powers. After all, due to the collapse of the demonic civilization, the descendants of the fallen angels did not live a good life. Those who got ahead were basically mercenaries or guards of certain beings. Merlot Heavenly Court once wanted to bring these abandoned angel blood back to Merlot Heavenly Court, but they did not appreciate it and gave up over time. Don't be so heartless, after all, we all bleed the same blood. I'm here to remind you that you have been targeted by angels. Muren leaned on the seat for a moment, then put away the carelessness on his face, and finally his blue eyes fell on Ka-Ming. What you did on Carrie Star attracted the attention of the Merlot Heavenly Court just a few days ago. The Merlot Heavenly Court sent an investigation team. And yesterday, this investigation team followed the traces you left and found this place. But this was Trading Street, so they didn't take action directly. After saying this, Ka-Ming stopped talking. I believe that as the leader of the mercenaries, Muren knew exactly what those angels planned to do. Why are you telling me this? We have never met before. Muren frowned slightly. She didn't believe that Ka-Ming would tell her such important news in vain. He must have some agenda. No reason. If I have to give a reason, it's because we are of the same race. I have established an organization called Paradise Lost and would like to invite fallen angels like you to join. Of course, you don't have to respond to me right away, and it's up to you to join or not, but I believe that Paradise Lost is the best destination for a helpless fallen angel like you. After Kamen finished speaking, he left a micro-communicator, stood up and left his seat, and left a message with a smile. When you need help, you can contact me through this. As for the price, I believe you should understand. After Kame left, Muren sat for a while, then put away Kame and left the communicator and left the bar. As soon as she arrived on the exchange street, Muren felt uneasy. Her sixth sense, which she had honed over the years in life and death, told her that something bad was about to happen. Muren dialed the communication of the deputy mercenary commander and said directly, "Gather all the brothers, we need to leave here immediately and take the hidden passage. They can pay as much as they want." The deputy leader didn't know what happened, but he paid great attention to his leader's words and immediately said to the members who were eating, drinking and having fun, "Eldest sister has given the order. Let's leave here immediately and let the brothers gather at the dock immediately." The mercenary group moved very quickly. Although some members were dissatisfied with their good deeds being interrupted, their offer the blade was enough to outweigh everything else. In just 2 hours, Muren and the men of his mercenary group met at the dock, boarded his ship, completed supplies, and quickly left Exchange Street through the hidden passage of Exchange Street. However, ever since Kame told them that they were being targeted by angels, Muren has been uneasy, and it was still not relieved until he left the Exchange Street. However, after completely leaving the trading street sphere of influence, Muren's tense mind finally relaxed a little. But at this moment, the medium-sized shuttle ship they were traveling on suddenly experienced a violent tremor. Immediately, the emergency communication on the bridge rang, and the tone was very anxious. "Sister, it's not good. We were attacked by an unknown person and the shield was penetrated." Hearing this, Muren was shocked, while the ordinary members of the mercenary group immediately panicked. This was in space, and if the shuttle ship was destroyed, not many people on the ship would survive. But before the bridge could find out what entity was attacking them, the next wave of attacks arrived. Boom! There was a loud bang that could be heard even in the shuttle ship, as if a giant beast had hit the ship head-on, and the shuttle ship groaned under the weight. Immediately, a huge crack several meters long was suddenly cut into the belly compartment wall of the shuttle ship where Makosa and other members of the mercenary group were. The air pressure was imbalanced, and in the blink of an eye, several mercenary regiment soldiers screamed and were sucked out of their belly compartments, becoming wretches in the universe who could only swing their limbs wildly and wait to die. Muren bit his lower lip lightly, turned his palms over, and held two rather ferocious daggers in his hands. The dark wings on his back spread out. Following the suction coming from the broken bulkhead, the curtain blade rushed out of the shuttle ship directly into the vast space outside, as if a fish swam into the sea, extremely relaxed and comfortable. But soon, Muren's heart froze, because on the damaged outer armor of the shuttle ship, a figure holding a flaming sword and a pair of white wings spread out on his back was locking his gaze with her. In addition, not far away, 4 angels with helmets and visors pulled down were slowly approaching, vaguely forming a blockade formation. No matter which direction she escapes, she will be caught up by the nearest angel and entangled and blocked. When the remaining angels swarm her, she will have no possibility of escaping. Fallen angel, you are involved in the murder of the king of the just order of Karyui civilization, please stay put. I don't want the sword in my hand to be stained with the blood of my own race, even if you are a fallen angel. The female angel without a helmet standing on the shuttle said coldly. Although she said she didn't want to be stained with the blood of her own race, her expression showed no intention of letting Muren go. Do you think I'm a fool? Muren didn't explain much. The dark wings behind her flapped, like a black shadow falling towards the angel closest to her who was staring at her. It is precisely because of your unscrupulousness that there have been so many innocent victims in the world. As the high-ranking angel who leads this investigation team, he is very aware of the things Muren has done, most of which involve killing and plundering, which are not tolerated by the concept of justice at all. Therefore, she moved her hands without any psychological burden. The flaming sword in her hand was filled with blazing fire, and she rushed directly towards the black shadow transformed by the curtain blade. The next moment, the cut dagger whirled and flew out. Muren's pupils narrowed slightly, and she quickly turned her head to avoid being decapitated on the spot by the high-ranking angel's sword that cut off her weapon. The high-ranking angel frowned slightly, a little dissatisfied with the fact that his sword failed to judge Muren, a fallen angel who had committed the most evil crimes. He twisted his wrist and made a sweeping backhand strike. Muren only dared to touch it with the dagger in his hand and the spine of the flaming sword. Like a cloth bag being swept away, he flew backwards for dozens of meters before stopping. After just a brief confrontation, Muren knew that he was no match for this high-level angel. If he hadn't relied on his more agile tactics just now, he would have been dead. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 982. In the short period of time when Muren and the high-level angels leading the team were fighting, the angel warriors scattered around also came up. Without any mercy, several flaming slashes struck the shuttle ship, leaving several gaps several meters long in the outer armor. Naturally, the shuttle ship would not give up its resistance. The locking missiles and close-in defense guns mounted on the hull roared, and chains of fire consisting of plasma-filled cannonballs swept towards the approaching angels. But it is a pity that no matter how the fire control system of the close-range defense gun calculates the advance, it can never hit the several angels who are constantly changing directions. If this continues, it will only be a matter of time before the angels break into a blind spot. The only leader with the ability to fight in space, Makara, is also held back by a female angel who seems to be untouchable. The mercenaries in the bridge were already a little desperate, but at this time, the deputy commander's order came through the communication. Open the attack hatch, we have to help eldest sister, otherwise we will all die here when eldest sister is defeated. A few seconds later, 4 fighter planes spray-painted with strange patterns rushed out of the shuttle ship's open attack bay and rushed straight to the direction of the curtain blade. but before they could get close to their eldest sister, two angel warriors came through from one side, and in an instant two more bright fireworks appeared in the universe. Seeing this, the remaining two fighters quickly rolled and dispersed, drawing an arc away from the angel warriors approaching them. But what made them despair was that even though their fighter plane was very fast, they were overtaken by the angel warriors with only a pair of wings on their backs. Muren could only watch helplessly as the fighter plane driven by the mercenary group soldiers who wanted to help him turned into a ball of fire and exploded into scattered parts. The high-ranking angel was indifferent to this. She had already gone through the routine procedures. All that was left was to impose righteous sanctions on this fallen angel who dared to violate the law of justice and order. The two sides fought together again, because both sides possessed super high mobility, like two phantoms, one white and one black, colliding several times in the blink of an eye. Muren relied on his keen fighting instincts honed from decades of wandering on the edge of life and death, and relied on flexible and changeable tactics to narrowly avoid the powerful and heavy slashes of high-level angels. This made the high-level angel frown. She was naturally not a novice at fighting, but this was the first time she encountered an opponent as slippery as Muren. As long as she could touch the opponent, she would be confident to severely injure or kill him. Die. The opponent's weak attacks and weapons that are not suitable for the table can't even cause damage to his angel body. After discovering that hand-to-hand combat alone could not solve the problem in a short time, the high-level angel directly used the energy-driven algorithm, and a surge of energy surged around her body, pushing her body forward. Muren didn't react quickly and only had time to block the dagger in his hand in front of him. Then he felt a stabbing pain in his abdomen, followed by an explosion of energy. The curtain blade was directly blown away. The high-level angel dragged the afterimage and quickly chased it. Suddenly, several purple energy arrows shot out. The high-ranking angel frowned, and swung the flaming sword with a faint white light in his hand several times, smashing it into pieces, and then stopped rushing towards the curtain edge. Because at this moment, several figures were standing in the air behind Muren, and the fluttering black wings behind them showed their identities. I didn't expect you fallen angels to gather together. Are you planning to violate the law of justice and order and become hostile to the Merlot Heavenly Court? If this is the case, then congratulations, the angelic civilization will classify you as a hostile existence. Even though they didn't know the depth of these fallen angels, the high-level angels were not afraid at all, and their words were full of warnings. I have no intention of becoming an enemy of Merlot Heavenly Court, but Muren is the one I like, and you can't kill her. Kaming did not have any obvious mood swings because of the words of the high-level angel. Being an enemy of angel civilization, and being an enemy of angel civilization to you are two different concepts. Even though Kaming now possesses power that exceeds that of ordinary war gods, it is still weak against the Merlot Heavenly Court. This was also the reason why he didn't directly kill these female angels just now. He wanted to rely on his numerical advantage to push back this angel team. Although it was destined to be a bit troublesome in the future, it was better than killing them and provoking the large army coming to Merlot Heaven. The high-ranking angel didn't reply immediately, but she opened her eyes of insight. Soon she scanned Kaming's information, and her expression turned cold. You are Kaming, and you killed angel warriors on the planet Ixera. Kaming frowned slightly when he heard this, and his face that originally had a faint smile suddenly turned cold, and he opened his mouth and uttered 3 words. Kill her. Upon hearing the order, the 2 fallen angels beside Kaming chuckled and immediately swooped towards the high-ranking angels, with a strange purple glow glowing on the dark heavy swords in their hands. The high-level angel rushed forward without fear, but what no one knew was that she had already uploaded her experience to the Merlot Heavenly Court by linking to the Holy Kesha knowledge treasury of all angels. 5 angel teams led by high-ranking angels immediately arrived at the Stargate, preparing to quickly reach the trading street of the Pocket Nebula through the Stargate passage for support. Because of the fall of the demonic civilization, The angel teams that were originally scattered throughout the entire Justice Order and engaged in small-scale battles with demons were liberated. This allowed the Merlot Heavenly Court to have sufficient troops to mobilize. After discovering that the angel team sent to the Pocket Nebula to investigate the Kylie civilization encountered dangerous fallen angels who had killed angel warriors, they immediately mobilized 5 combat teams to support them. If the 5 teams are unable to resolve the matter, then the incident escalates and a high-level angel team will be led by a god-level angel to provide support. If it is assessed to be too dangerous, a Skyblade combat unit will be led by a high-ranking angel of the Holy Wings level to provide support. Kamen didn't know that there were already 5 angel teams on the way to support him, but he knew that he couldn't stay here for long. Seeing that his 2 newly recruited men failed to capture the high-level angel immediately, Kaming moved. The high-level angel, who was tired of dealing with the siege of 2 male fallen angels, suddenly felt a strange energy source appear in front of him. Before she could make any move, the purple light exploded, and the dark heavy sword sank directly into her breastplate and came out from her back. The high-ranking angel looked down, and the purple energy continued to erode her body and armor through the sword, making her body quickly become weak. Kame gently pushed the female angel in front of him to draw out his weapon, and signaled his men to deal with the remaining 4 angel warriors, while he flew to the vicinity of the curtain edge. We met the blade again, and now I invite you to join Lost Paradise again. Facing Kame's stretched out hand, Muren hesitated for a moment, and finally a wry smile appeared on his face. Do I have any choice? Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 983. Merlot Heavenly Court, in the Holy Expedition Hall, in the center of the room where the Holy Left Wing is located, the star map of the known universe is projected from the Holy Kesha's Knowledge Treasure House, and nearly 3/5 of the area is separately divided. Has anything special happened in the known universe recently? No, the overall situation of the Justice Order is fine. Evil is hiding in the shadows and does not dare to emerge. Our angel's concept of justice is being accepted by more and more civilizations. Really, but an angel reported that the angel team performing the judgment mission was attacked and has lost its life reflexes. One area of the projected star map began to zoom in, which was the river system labeled the Pocket Nebula. There are 3 star fields within it that are divided respectively, and information on behalf of these star fields begins to appear on the side, namely the Langzing Civilization, Thane Civilization, and Hayden Civilization. Among them, the Langzing Civilization occupies the smallest area, but the spheres of influence of the 3 are all bordering each other, and some image information has begun to appear, all of which show the armies of the 3 parties fighting each other. However, these all passed by quickly, and the star map continued to zoom in, pointing directly at a planetary system 3 civilizations away. It was a planetary projection that looked extremely desolate on the surface, with only a few areas containing human traces. Immediately, a dotted line started from the projection of the planet and extended to an area outside the planetary system. Then the heads of 5 female angels appeared, but a red cross appeared below their heads. 5 angel warriors lost their precious lives here, and the culprit was the fallen angel. The next second, the picture of Kawai killing the high-level angel appeared. But this is just the beginning. The problem of fallen angels is becoming increasingly serious. They are joining forces and forming a new threat that is different from demonic civilization. Then the star map shrank and returned to the overall star map of the Pocket Nebula, but a dozen planets were individually marked, forming an irregular pattern. More than half of the planets are aerospace-level civilizations, and there are even 2 resource-gathering planets that have just entered the god-making civilization. Then small pictures popped up one after another, and the same figure appeared in all the pictures, and that was the fallen angel Kame. They are premeditatedly attacking the resource-gathering planets of various civilizations. According to the reaction of the civilization under attack, all that was lost were precious resources for manufacturing upgraded super genes. If this continues, their strength will become stronger and stronger. We must get rid of this dangerous gang as soon as possible, otherwise the damage they will cause will become greater and greater. Currently, a judgment team led by a God-level angel and 5 ordinary angel teams have been dispatched to the star field where the fallen angel gang operates to track their traces. Just find their foothold and strike them with precision. That's it for the time being. If the situation changes, I will personally lead the team to annihilate them. As these words fell, the star map projection dissipated in an instant, revealing several angels in the room, among which Len Hian was prominently among them, as well as several more senior God-level angels. It was the angels Yan and Len who spoke just now. The other God-level angels did not interrupt. Among the new generation of angels, only Yan and Len are qualified to talk to the older generation of angels on an equal footing. Since the meeting is over, I will leave first. If you need support from the Skyblade fleet, you can contact us at any time. The commanding angel of the Skyblade fleet, who was responsible for chasing down the remaining demons, stood up from his seat and prepared to leave. The other angels present nodded in greeting. In the Pocket Nebula and the Ionica planet system, Angel Wen turned off the star map projection and looked at the angels behind her. The Mellow Heavenly Court has just sent news that the fallen angels attacked a resource collection satellite here an hour ago and they should not have left yet. Sister Wen, this is a great thing. We wandered around here for a few months and finally ran into them. Angel 11 said excitedly. To be honest, she was a little tired of running around every day. Angel Wen nodded slightly and said seriously. Now that we know they are in this planetary system, we cannot miss this great opportunity. But please note that our mission this time is an evaluation mission. If the fallen angels show too much strength, we must retreat immediately to save ourselves. When the time comes, His Excellency Angel Len will lead a Skyblade combat unit to destroy them. Hearing this, the angels present were slightly stunned. They had all heard of Angel Len's name. He was a student of the legendary Heavenly Sword King and recognized as the number 1 among the new generation of battle angels. Even today's sacred Zoyan is not necessarily his opponent. The most important thing is that Angel Len is a 3rd-generation god and the top combat echelon in the known universe. The Skyblade combat unit is even more impressive. It consists of a Skyblade battleship, carrying tens of thousands of angel legions and a miniature fleet of supporting Skysword series battleships. It can stand up to the cosmic power of an aerospace-grade civilization on its own, even in a star-destroying battle. How virtuous and capable is the fallen angel, to be able to attract the attention of His Excellency Angel Len? In fact, the reason is very simple. Angel Len is an angel supremacist and a war-loving person. The identity of a fallen angel is nothing in her eyes, but a fallen angel openly kills angel warriors, which is a provocation to angelic civilization and the order of justice. For Angel Len, who is proud of her status as an angel, this is a huge insult, so she pays attention to this matter. Angel Yan also handed over the handling authority of this matter to Angel Len, while she continued to preside over the overall situation of justice and order, collected information on the traces of some god-level demons, and formulated a strategy to curb the spread of the Styx. The piercing sirens have not stopped, but the Ionica people defending this resource collection satellite have been almost slaughtered. Boss, the defenders here have been basically cleared. A simple-minded fallen angel reported to the meeting. Kamen nodded slightly and walked towards the closed alloy door of the warehouse in front. Reaching out and pressing on the heavy alloy door, Kumo's eyes lit up with purple energy. The door made of alloy started from the area where Kumo's palm touched, and the purple energy began to quickly erode the door. A few seconds later, the eroded door turned into black debris and collapsed like a wall of sand. What caught the eyes of all the fallen angels present were neatly stacked storage boxes that were well sealed. Kamen reached out to pull out a storage box and pulled out the drawer. What caught his eyes was a magnificent silver metal block. Boss, it's the aggregation of tidal elements, we've sent it. Hearing this, Kaming's expression didn't change much. If he had been before, he would have been the same as his men, but what he needs now is not this thing, but something even rarer. Continuing to walk inside, Kame took out a few more storage boxes and finally found what he wanted, the precious elements that synthesized super gene upgrade resources. Don't worry about the other things for now, just put these on the boat. You have to be fast, otherwise it will be very troublesome waiting for Ionicus support to arrive.